Hello, my name is Jeff Evans, and I'm going to take you through the Graze Office Store, which is the sample assessment for using accounting software on the A2 website. So I've opened up Sage Accounts in relation to my computer, so we can all start together. So I'll click OK, and I've purposefully got 5 accounts there. So they're the different accounts or the different company accounts that we've been working on over a period of time. And you'll see if I go and try add another company, it says I've reached the maximum allowed. So if you have that problem, it's only because it allows you to have 5 at any one time. So I'm going to delete one of them to remove that company and all of the information. So now we've got 4 and it'll allow me to add a company. Okay, so we're going to set it on page 3 of the sample assessment paperwork. It's about setting up the accounts or setting up the company. It's not assessed and the tutor will be able to help you with this, but again, for your own purposes, I'm just going to show you how to set it up. So I'm going to set up the new company, as you can see, and it's the Graze Office Store. I tend to use the tab button for moving it across. It just seems easier than clicking it. So look, so we've got 1 Hope Street. The town is Cathertown. In Lumley. Postcode is LM61, so LM61 2RT. Okay, we don't have the telephone number or the fax number or the web address, so on and so forth, but if we did, we would put that information in. So I'm just going to go next. It tells us it's a sole trader, so I'll leave that. And then it tells us as far as the actual year is concerned, it says to use the current year, so we'll use, and it's June, so we'll use June 2018, and you'll see the accounts are from the 1st of June to the 31st of May next year. Then click next. We've got the VAT number, which is 78116337. It tells us that the standard rate is 20%. So I'll put the 20% figure in. Pound sterling. And there you see, so we've created the company, so the Graze Office Store. So then click create and it'll set up all the accounts. Okay, so I'm just going to take you around sort of the various screens. So we've got the customers. So in a minute we're going to set up the customer accounts. I don't like the way that the screen is set up there, so I'm going to change the view to customers. And shortly I'll show you how to set up the new customer. So we've got setting up a new customer, their individual record, and when it comes to invoicing, we'll use the batch invoice button later, and then any various reports we might need to do. We've also got the suppliers. Again, I'll change the view to suppliers, and we've got the same situation. So new suppliers when we send the invoices or process the invoices, and then we've got the company. Okay, so we've got all the various nominal codes all set up. Tend to find that if I just click on the nominal code, it does it in number order, as you can see. Or if I click on name, it'll do it on name. Okay, just to show you, so as far as the nominal codes are concerned, I know that sales is 4,000. I'll come back to that in a bit. Yeah, in fact, I'll do that now. Okay, so it also says in the accounts, it tells us that the sales, so most of Graze Office Store's income is generated from online sales where the customers pay online. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to set up the accounting software and the dates and so on and so forth. You'll notice on the bottom of the screen, So we've set it for June 2018, but it defaults to the current date. So again, if you've finished the work you're doing and then you come back to it at a later date on the computer, it'll default automatically back to whatever the date is. So we're going to set, as it tells us in the question, it set the system date for the 30th of June. So if we go into settings and it says change the program date, and it tells us to set it to the 30th of June for the current year, 30th of June for the current year, and we've set it for 2018. So click OK, and then you'll see on the bottom that the year has changed. It always defaults back to the current date, as I said, so when you go in on the computer, please make sure you change it back. Okay, so let's go back to the company where I was before, and we've got all the various codes. So it tells us in the question as far as the sales are concerned. So as I said to you before, you've got sales, which is 4,000. So I'm going to click on number 4. And it's basically saying us to make sure that we apply the various sales types. So it says we've got online sales. It says they've got sales to the shops in the north and then sales to the shops in the south. So I'm going to change these nominal codes. So I've already got sales type A, B and C that's already set up on the system. And so therefore I'm going to change those to those particular names that it gives us. So I'm going to double click on sales type A, and I'm going to change that one to online sales. I'm not going to put any, there's no opening balances at the moment, so click save. Then I'm going to click on the 4 again, and you'll see, so we've got online sales now, which is 4,000. I'll do sales type B, and we'll call that sales to shops. And that'll be the north. Again, save. Save coming out the screen, and just do 4,000 again. And we've got sales type C. And this time it's sales to shops in the south. And then save. I'm just going to close that because I just want to show you, let's say you had 4 or 5 different types of sales. So I'm going to show you it's set up. So you can see you've got online sales now, sales to the shop, sales to the north. I'll just show you what you do if you did have more sales that you needed, or different types of sales that you needed to input. So if I go into a new nominal, and it gives us the various sort of accounts that we would need. So you've got sales, purchases, expenses, overheads, so on and so forth. So we'll stick with sales, and you see automatically it moves to the next nominal code. So in this one it would be 4003. So I'll just make one up just to show you how it works. So if I do sales to shops in the east, no opening balances, so create the code, and then you'll see I've got shops to the east. I could do the same by adding other nominal or other codes if I needed to, if there's other sales. Okay, so we've done the sales. We've also got, it says about stock. It said all stock is stored in rented unit where stocks are dispatched. So the business purchased some of its products as completed units which are ordered to be sold on. Other items are produced by the business with the raw materials being purchased from suppliers. So we're going to again do the different types of purchases as we did the sales. So 5,000, just to show you, 5,000 are the codes that we use for the various purchases. So again, I'm going to click on that materials purchase, which is code 5,000. I'm going to change that one to purchases, completed units, and save. I'll click on the 5 again, and we don't need the materials imported at the moment, so I'll use that code, and I'll call that one purchases raw materials. Save that one. Again, if we purchased other products or other items, we would just do a nominal code, set up a nominal code. This time change it to purchases, and you see it gives you the next nominal code, which will be 5004. We don't need that, but again, that's what you would use if you needed to set up new purchases. So again, that's not part of the assessment, but it's important for you to understand, because certainly with my students, I don't set it up for them. So you need to get into the swing and understand what you need to do to basically set up the accounts. Okay, right, so for task 1, where we need to set up the customer accounts. Okay, so I'm going to go into the customers, and again, as I said before, I don't like the way that this is set up. And the first thing it says, so we've got a new customer, which is GIFL recruitment even, with the customer accounts details on the 1st of June. So I'm going to set up the new customer, and this customer is GIFL recruitment. Account code is really important. So IF001. Again, I'm using the tab button because I find it easier, and it's 3 High Street. Meadowville. And postcode is ME26US. Okay, so then click next. Again, for the information that we've got, we don't have the telephone number or contact deals with reference to this particular organisation. If we did, we will put the information in, but we don't. So we'll just move on. Again, with reference to the customer defaults of any discounts that we offer them, in this particular assessment it doesn't tell us of any discounts that we offer them. So therefore I'm just going to click next. Number 4, I suppose, in relation to the information we need to provide, that's one of the ones that we always need to put in. And it tells us, again, with no credit limit, on some of the older assessments, they do have a credit limit where we put in there. This bit's really important. So we've got the terms, and it tells us the terms are 30 days. And terms agreed. It's really important to do terms agreed, because when you try and put information in later, it'll say you've not agreed terms. So it's far easier to do it now. It tells us that to say that the payment days are 30 days. So I'll put that in. And the account opened on the 1st of June. Again, that's all really important. And click next. Again, if we had the bank details, as far as the customer is concerned, we could put all of that information in, and we haven't. And the bank account details and so on and so forth. And we haven't got that as well. But anyway, so as far as the next one, it says, is there an opening balance? Yes, there is. And it was on the 1st of June, which is the opening balance. And the amount is 844.26. So I'm going to create. So you'll see we've set up GIFL recruitment and now set up Happy Engineers. What I tend to do when working through these accounts is we'll set up all the task 1, task 2 and task 3, and then we'll save it. I'll show you how to save it, because then what you can do each time is we feel confident and competent of doing the first 3 tasks, and you can keep coming back to it and carry on. So I always find that's the best way to do. So 27 the Grange. That's in Totton, wherever that is. And the postcode is TT21 2SA. Okay, and again, as I said before, I'm going to go straight through to the credit details. And again, for this one, again, it's 30 days. Terms agreed. 30 days. Payment due. We open the account on the 1st. It's important to make sure you change the opening accounts, then the dates there. You can change them if you make a mistake, but it's far easier to do it right the first time round. And again, no bank details, so let's whiz through it. So we've got one value, the account opened on the 1st of June, and the amount is 1425.65. So then we create that account. And then finally, so far as Perry Cars is concerned, so P. Do you think there's such a place as Gene Pert? I'll Google it later. So you got JE3 8TY. This one is 45 days. Again, this time the amount is 4,680. It's the opening balance, so 4680. And then create. Okay, so then you see we've set up the customer accounts, or the 3 customers that we've got. When it comes to the suppliers, we do a similar process. So I go to the suppliers now, and again I'll change the view back to the suppliers because I prefer the list. And again, same process now when setting up the supplier account. So we'll go new supplier, and this one is Fabrics Delight. And there is FAB001, and it is Unit 3. Dome Centre. Okay, let's go through it again. Again, if we had that information, we'd put the contact details in, but we haven't. If we were receiving a discount, again, we'll put that information in, and again, we haven't. But what we've got is the terms. So this time the payment terms is 60 days. The terms are being agreed, so the payment is due in 60 days. The account was opened on the 1st of June. Again, we'd put our bank details in if we had them, but we don't. And again, the opening balance for this particular account is 1320.11. And create. So there's Fabrics Delight. 2 more. So your new supplier is QC Exclusive. I do think sometimes it would be worthwhile if I play some music whilst doing this, because it's a bit taxing. Ocean House, and that will be London. Postcode is NW2 9GY. Again, this time terms are 30 days. Terms agreed, first of the month. 30 days. Next, next, next. Yes, we've got an opening balance. 1st of June. And the amount is 920.46. If you're making mistakes when you're doing these, there are ways of correcting it, but I'll leave that to a later date. Let's make sure we get this one right first. So totally wood, and the account is TOT001 35 Montpellier Street. This is in Great Low. Again, I wonder if there's a place called George Marnier. So GM38LD. Next. This one is 30 days. Terms agreed. First 30. Next. Final one, yay! So let's have a look. So 1st of June. And this one is 135.56. Okay, so again we've set up the customer accounts and we've set up the supplier accounts. So that's task 1 and task 2. I'm going to work up to task 3 before we save it, or in Sage terms back it up, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. So let's go on to the task 3, which is about the setting up the nominal codes for the various accounts that we've got and our opening balances. Okay, so this time we're going to go into the company, and again you'll see you've got all the nominal codes. So I'll click on the nominal codes and you'll see we've got 10, 11, 20, so on and so forth. So what I tend to do is have a look at which fixed assets do we need to use, so the various accounts, and if we don't need them then we'll just use the ones that we need to use. So in other words, so the first one is computer equipment at cost, and then we've got computer equipment at cumulative depreciation. If we've got computer equipment already in here, then we'll use that one. So again, sort of going back to what I was saying before, when it comes to new nominal codes, if I go on to fixed assets, then you see they always tend to be sort of like 0 or 0, 0, and then up to 0, 0, 100 or something like that. So we've got plenty of different accounts that we can play with, but we tend to just use the existing ones and change them accordingly. So for this one, as I say, if I go to, I'll start on the 21st. So have we got computer equipment there already? No. Do we need plant and machinery, which is number 20? No. So I'll use the plant and machinery code. So if I double click and I'll change that, instead of plant and machinery, I'll call that computer equipment at cost. Okay. There's an opening balance, we'll put that in. It says you have to save it first, but I'll just carry on. So you've got opening balance again, which was the 1st of June, and the opening balance is 4600 on the debit side, as you can see, being an asset. So save. Okay. And then I'm going to stay within this particular box here, and I'm going to do number 21, which is the depreciation for computer equipment. So double click on that again, and I'll change that to computer equipment. I'm being lazy by putting this in. You put it in properly though. I'm just doing accumulated depreciation. Again, click on the opening balance. 1st of June. And this time it's a credit, obviously. So credit is 1,200. Cumulative depreciation so far. So then I can save that one. Did I save that one before? Let me just check. Yeah, that's fine. So we're done. Let's just close that for a second. So you'll see we've got computer equipment at cost, and we've also got computer equipment and cumulative depreciation. Next one is delivery vehicles. So I said, do we need office equipment? No, fixtures and fittings is what we need. So I'll use the office equipment account, change that one. So this one to delivery vehicles. And that one is, so I put cost. And that one is 22,800. Next one was the delivery vehicles cumulative depreciation. Opening balance is 5,000. Save. And then finally we've got fixtures and fittings at cost. So let's see which one we can use. We'll use that furniture and fixtures, so we'll use that one. And we'll change it to fixtures and fittings. At cost. That was 6,445. 6,445. And 41 for the appreciation. And that one is first, and the cumulative depreciation is 1625. Save, save, and close. So you see we've set up those non-current asset or fixed asset accounts with their various depreciation. The next thing we've got is we've got the bank account opening balance that we need to put in, the petty cash, and so on and so forth. Just to point out, the sales ledger control account and the purchase ledger control account, they're already inputs, because when we set up the opening balances, particularly for the customers, that's what that equates to. And the same with our suppliers, when we set up the opening balances, that's what those figures are, so we don't need to put those. And what we tend to use so far as the bank is concerned, so again I can click on nominal account or I can click on name, and we really just tend to use the bank deposit, which is 1,200, and the petty cash, which I think is 1,250. So that's what we tend to use. So we go on the bank account first, and it tells us the bank account was 13,000. So double click on the bank account, And again for this one, the opening balance on the bank account is, how much have we got in the bank? 13,984.24. Save. So we've got the bank. Next one we've got is the petty cash. So again, let's say if we click on the P for petty cash, and the opening balance for petty cash is petty cash 75. Save petty cash. Petty cash, as I said before, we don't enter the sales ledger or purchase ledger control accounts because they're already in, but we do need to do the sales tax control account. So again, if we click on S and find the sales tax VAT, so the sales tax control account, and again this one has got an opening balance on the 1st of June. Sales is 12,100. 12,100. Is that right? Yeah. Save that one. The other one is a purchase tax control account. So again, I'll click on the P. Purchase tax control account. The opening balance on the 1st, and this one is 7540. So 7540. Save that one. So we've done sales tax, purchase tax, and then finally we've got the capital. So again, if I go on to capital, and the opening balance on the 1st of June is capital 40,000 093.02, and then save, and close it. Okay, so we've entered all of the opening balances in. It's always worthwhile at this point just to double check it, so I'll show you what we'll do. So I'm going to go on to financials. So I'm going to go to the modules on the top here, and I'm going to go to financials because I want to do a trial balance just to make sure that it's okay. So if we click on the trial balance and then just check it with the information that we've input, let's have a look. Certainly as a tutor at this point, I would like to check just to make sure the students have input the information correctly, because sometimes you might get a suspense account, which basically means you've input something wrong and we might need to amend it or adjust it. But thankfully in this particular case you can see that the closing balance is 62394.15, which is correct, and I'll just check these off to make sure these are okay. Pretty confident they are, because again I've not got a suspense account, so I'm quite sure I've entered all the information correctly. I've created a file, so what I suggest that you do when you start, before you start, is create a folder on your desktop. Call it the Graze Office Store. It's something where you can save all of the information in. I've just called it computerized accounts, but I'll just show you. Just so I've got this for reference, I'm going to export that. And I'm going to save it just for reference so I can double check later. I'll put it on my desktop, I think, under Jeff. And I've got computerized accounts 2018, and I just call that trial balance. Task 3. Okay, so I've saved that. Just for reference so I can double check each time to make sure that I'm okay. Okay, so we've done task 1, task 2 and task 3. What I tend to do at that point, well, to be honest, what I tend to do first is to set up the customer account and set up the supplier accounts, having done all the initial bits of setting up the sales and so on and so forth, and then I tend to get the students just to go and set it up. so therefore they've got a good understanding of what they need to do. I've gone to task 3 this time, so I'm going to back it up at task 3, which means I can go back to it any time. So once I'm comfortable with doing up to task 3, then I can then move on. So I'll just show you what we do when it comes to saving. So using Sage, we tend to back it up. So if we back up, I don't want to run a check beforehand, so I'll say no. Okay, and then it gives the file name. So what's the file name? I'll leave it at the Graze office store, but this time I'm just going to call it task 3. So therefore I know that this is up to task 3. Where do I want to save it? So browse, and again I know I set it up on my desktop on the Jeff. So here, and I've done it under computerized accounts 2018. Click OK, and then you'll see that's where it's going to save it. So click OK, and it's been backed up successfully. Okay, so again, as I said before, this is going up to task 3. So that's it for this particular part of the recording. It's all backed up and saved. I can come back to it whenever I want to, and then move on to the next task. In fact, I'll show you. So if I go click close it, I don't want to back it up because I've already saved it, and now I've come off it altogether. If I go on to computerized accounts, open your company data, click OK. What I will say at this point is that whoever was on the computer last time when you're using Sage, it tends to have the same information on. So again, this is this is what we did last time. So I'll just show you just as for reference. So if I go to the company, now let's go and check. So if I go to the trial balance as I did before, so once for financials, I can actually do the audit trail, which shows us the last input or the last information that we put in. But I'll just go on the trial balance just to double check it was the accounts of where we're up to previously, or the last thing that we did. Yeah. And then I can move on to the next task. Again, like I said before, you've got now, because I've closed it and opened it again, it goes back to the default date. So before I finish off this particular task, I'll just show you what you do to go back. So change the program date, and the program date for us was the 30th of the 6th, 2018. And then we're ready to move on. So again, so this is task 1, task 2 and task 3. I'll close it down now, and then we'll do the tasks later on.